Keep going, I'll follow you. People around. Mike's got a master cooler here. Okay, he's got it.
Every summer I get into sim racing on my computer. I'm terrible at it, but I get into it. And it occurred to me I'd never actually been to a real race. And I thought, there's not 3 hours away is Indianapolis. And I looked, they had a race July 30th, which worked out perfect. We had just finished moving, and I thought it'd be a fun thing for me and my brother to do. So we went up there to see this doubleheader. It was an Indycar race and it was a NASCAR Xfinity race on a Saturday. I took my Panasonic GH5, which is a camera that I've had for a while and really not spent that much time using. The GH5 is kind of known, it's micro four thirds, it's kind of known not to have the best autofocus, at least compared to like say a Canon. And I found that with photos it was decent, but it wasn't great. Every now and again, in high speed mode, just kind of pointing it at the cars and taking pictures, I would get something like this that was decently in focus. You can see the wire fence is kind of in the way, but not completely in the. It's kind of blurred out now. But it was so hard to take pictures of these cars. You know, they're going really, really, really fast. This was one of my favorite sharp ones right here from that set. But like say, it's like probably 11, 12 frames per second. It's probably the fastest camera I have. But of those 11 or 12 frames, not that many of them were actually in focus. And part of the problem is that to get this sharp, you needed to shoot, especially when the cars were moving fast and close to you. You needed to shoot at like 2,000ths or faster of a second. And that meant I had to have a really low f-stop. But low f-stop wasn't a problem because I was using the Metabones adapter, and that means that my 70 to 200, which all the pictures and videos you see are shot on a Sigma 70 to 200 f2.8, could actually go down to like f2.2, I think. So I quickly saw that the photographers were pretty much all using, a majority of them were using professional Canon big lenses, 600 plus. And they all had these little gaps in the fence to shoot through, which was a huge advantage because then you don't have all the wire in front of you. I kind of wished I could have got into the zones they were in. They were up against the fence, of course, so I guess if, a tire blew off a car and hit them, it could be bad. But for the most part, I would have much rather been where they were at so I didn't have to shoot through a fence the whole time. I tried a few different techniques to, instead of using autofocus, I would do something a little more old-fashioned where I focused on a section of the road, section of the track, and tried to snip one photo because I was taking so many photos at like 11 or 12 frames per second or whatever this will do in high speed mode. So instead, I would just wait for the car to get right to that spot and take a photo. And I took a lot less photos and probably got some decent shots here. Even at 2,000ths of a second, I still wasn't getting really, really sharp photos here. These cars are moving really fast, especially in shots like this where they're going directly by you. I don't know what speeds you would need to get a sharp photo here, but I think this one didn't cut it, and I think this one was 2,000th of a second. As far as actually enjoying the race, I had no idea what was going on. We didn't get there in time for the start. We had general admission tickets, so there's TV, large, huge monitors spread out across the area, but we were generally unable to find a good place to set. The infield, these grass hills all around the infield were full of people. It was hard to find a place to sit and get a good shot. But I did enjoy seeing the cars, even though, they look more like slot car racers. I mean, I knew this. I knew how precise and agile these Indy cars are. I tried out some stuff with slow motion, and that was pretty effective. The GH5 does have tons of slow motion options. Like, I think this is probably the slowest it has at 1080, like 180 frames a second or something like that. So that was pretty cool. And focusing is not really a problem at the highest f-stop. You know, it's got such a wide depth of field, you could kind of generally point it in the right place and it would be okay. I was totally blown away by the track and the facilities, though. I had never been to a racetrack except for, I think we stopped by Mid-Ohio once. I'd never been to anything like this. This place is so huge. It's iconic. I mean, being there was incredible. So while actually watching the racing was kind of like, blah, to me, you know, like, I don't know. It was really hard to sit and enjoy this because, like, I have no idea who anybody is. I don't follow this. I don't know what's going on, but just being there and seeing it was pretty amazing. My brother was really enjoying it, having a great time, and watching this IndyCar was one great thing is you could actually understand the announcers. They're not that loud, so you can hear the announcers over the cars, and so that was pretty awesome. Most people had planted a chair somewhere and just, you know, never moved. But me and my brother wandered around the track and watched a race from several different vantage points, which I really enjoyed, just seeing the track in different places and seeing the facilities from different places. This low-speed corner ended up to be a perfect place to watch, and it was so cool to hear the machine gun-like shifting of the cars. I got some of my sharpest photos here because the cars were moving relatively slower than they were at the back straight where we had been watching it. I got this photo of Rossi, who ended up winning the race, and while I don't know much about him, apparently he hadn't won in a while. So the NASCAR race started almost immediately after. We walked through the carnival sort of showcase area, got a free Chevy shirt, and then we managed to just walk into the bleachers. I know, like, we didn't have a seat, you know, we didn't have a ticket that allowed us to sit here, but nobody stopped us. And when we got there, it was kind of empty, but you know, the bleachers kind of filled up in this area where we were sitting, and we could watch the opening ceremonies and all that stuff.
Leah Crane and her performance of our national anthem. Let's hear it for Lisa and Leah. And now for the most famous words in motorsports. Driver, start your engine!
All of that was recorded with the GH5's internal microphone, which I think sounded really good. Of course, it was really loud, and the audio quality was really good at the speakers. The bass of the music would actually shake you. And then the cars started, and oh my gosh, I mean, like, they were so loud. They were like 20 times louder than the Indy cars. You couldn't think. And honestly, while it was cool at first, I got really sick of it really fast. And the Indy cars are great to watch racing, you know, but the NASCARs are a totally different thing to watch. Those cars weigh twice as much. They're like 3,400 pounds, double the weight of the NASCARs almost. And they're like just like pigs wandering around this course. You know, you see them like all over the place. I didn't really see any accidents, and as far as racing action goes on this corner, which we spent a lot of time, this was an interesting corner to watch. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of passing. There was a lot of overtaking being seen here. A lot of two wides going through this corner. I don't think I ever saw any contact or anything, but there was quite a few cars we saw come through with like parts missing, so like bumpers flapping in the wind. So there had been a lot of accidents. So I don't think anything like the Cup race that was the next day where there was some massive crashes. The GH5 slow motion was incredible here. I just loved watching these cars in slow motion fly around. When I saw the flames shoot out of a backfiring tailpipe, it just kind of blew my mind in slow motion. But overall, I wouldn't want to do this again. As far as the NASCAR race, it was just too loud. Maybe if I stuck earplugs, but it's just like if I was by myself and just taking photos, that's fine. But like, it's especially being this close too. It's just very loud, very hard to follow. Kind of rattles my brain. I just don't have that good of a brain anyway, I guess. So not something I'd really want to do again. In fact, I much prefer, if I'm going to watch racing, just to watch it so you can actually see what's going on TV, which if you found a good spot, that could be done because there were these massive outside TV screens. As far as the GH5 goes, having the versatility of this in crazy slow motion, I did some 4K video and scaled it down to get closer here and there. And the photo quality I thought was excellent. I wish I'd had my 1D or some other Canon camera really for the photos, just mainly because with the mirrorless, I found it very, very hard to track. Like it was pretty much impossible to track the cars through the with high speed on through the viewfinder. It just, the screen turns black too long. It's just not quite fast enough like looking through an actual shutter would be. I wish I'd brought that too, but I didn't want to carry around a whole bunch of cameras. And I wanted to force myself to use the GH5. And I'm kind of glad I did because I learned a lot about using it. I'm still bad with it. I still don't quite, it's not second nature. Whereas I can pick up my Canon cameras and I can control them. The GH5 has so many more dials and buttons, but I couldn't get this on any other camera I have. So I'm glad I brought it.